people swim in the swimming pool, they dive from the bank of the swimming pool, they dive, they crawl, they give some kind of strokes also, like butterfly or other, so many strokes are there. Uh, so dive off, and so he could dive, swim in the length of the pool. Length of the pool means the whole swimming pool, the whole length of the swimming pool. He can swim, crawl, stroke. He could crawl and also stroke. Back strokes are there, butterfly strokes are there. All these strokes he could do in the swimming pool now. So he has become a swimmer after uh, some months of practicing. He is under the guidance of an instructor. He has become a swimmer now. The instructor has said that he could now swim, dive off, from the dive inside the swimming pool, swim and crawl and stroke, give stroke also. So all these things he could do now. Remember, this fear was there in his mind, but gradually the fear has been wiped off. Now he could swim under the instructor. I did. The instructor was finished. So the instructor's job was finished. Means that the author has already learned to swim. So the instructor was done. Means his job was finished. But I was not finished. The instructor was finished, but the author was saying that he was not finished. I still wondered if I would be terror-stricken when I was alone in the pool. So I still wondered, means the author was still wondering if I would be terror-stricken when I was alone in the pool. Remember, the author was alone in the pool when he was thrown. Now, that thought came to his mind that if he would be terror-stricken, means that fear was would be there in his mind if he was alone in the pool. So he was thinking about that. He was wondering about that, whether that fear would come back to him if he was alone, because at that time he was alone when he was thrown. So that situation came back to his mind, that if he would be terror-stricken or he would be in the grip of terror if he was all alone in the pool. I tried it. So he tried also. I swam the length up and down. So the full length of the stream or the pool, he went up and down. He came back, went again, swimming. Tiny vestiges of the old terror would return. So, tiny vestiges, these tiny shapes of that fear, small shapes of that fear would come back to his mind. Tiny shapes, vestiges of the old terror would return, not in that full form, but tiny way, in a small way, that fear would return. Sometimes. But now I could frown and say to that fear, terror, now you would glare and shout at the fear and say, trying to scare me, huh? You'd say, you'd frown at that fear and say, are you trying to scare me? You'd question, well, here's to you, look. And off I'd go for another length of the pool. Look, I am now terror-free. No more terror is there in my mind. Look how I swim, and you'd go. You'd swim the full length of the pool. So by this way, he was releasing himself from that grip of terror. He was questioning himself. That fear, whenever that fear came to his mind, he would ask himself, are you trying to scare me? He would ask that fear, because the fear was totally the psychological fear that was working in his mind. Not that some person was coming and he was afraid of that person. It was actually a psychological matter, a thing that was working in him mentally. It was a mental matter. So that thing would come in his mind, and he would ask that fear whether he was trying to get or scare him or making him afraid. This went on until July. So the instructor job was finished in April. Now this went on until July. He went up and down the pool swimming. Some fear came back to his mind, to question that fear, and that fear went away, and again he swim. This went on until July. So this process went on till July, but I was still not satisfied. but the author William Douglas was not satisfied. I was not sure that all the terror had left. The author was not sure that all the terror was left from his mind. Means his mind had become terror free. He was not satisfied. So I went to Lake Wentworth in New Hampshire. So what did he do? He went to Lake Wentworth in New Hampshire, typed off a dock at Triggs Island, and swam 2 miles across the lake to Stampak Island. So since he was not satisfied, where did he go? He went to Wentworth. Remember all these things? Very tiny matters, small matters, but you have to remember. So I went to Lake Wentworth. He went to Lake Wentworth. It is situated in New Hampshire, that is in England. Dived off a dock at Triggs Island. So he dived from a dock at Triggs Island and swam 2 miles. Remember, he swam 2 miles across the lake. I think it's a stupendous matter of swimming 2 miles across the lake to Stampak Island. So from Triggs Island, he swam 2 miles and went to Stampak Island, to another island. From one island, he went to another island. Across the lake. So that lake he swam 2 miles and went to another island. I swam the crawl breaststroke. The breaststroke is there, one kind of stroke while swimming. The breaststroke, he did the breaststroke, side stroke, and backstroke. So all these strokes that is used in swimming, the professional swimmers, they use all these things, all these strokes, breaststroke, side stroke, backstroke, breaststroke, all these strokes they use. He also used, the author also used while swimming 2 miles. Only once did the terror return. So while he was swimming 2 miles, only for once only the terror returned. When I was in the middle of the lake, so when the author was in the middle of the lake, that fear or that terror returned for once. So what did he do? I put my face under and saw nothing but bottomless water. So what did he do? He put his face under the water. He put his face under the water and saw nothing but bottomless water. So he put his face inside the water and saw the water, bottomless water. The old sensation returned in miniature. The old, that sensation or that grip of fear returned to him in a small way, in a miniature way, in a small way, tiny way. I laughed and said, when that fear returned, he laughed and said, well, Mr. Terror, what do you think you can do to me? So he questioned the terror. That is a kind of talking to himself. The person is talking to himself, his mind. Well, Mr. Terror, because the terror is working in his mind only. So he's questioning himself or that terror. Well, Mr. Terror, what do you think you can do to me? What can you do to me? It fled and I swam on. So when he asked the question, what it could do to him, it fled, means the terror went away. Fled and I swam on, and he swam on. So that fear, when that fear came to him, he just asked the question, what can you do to me? At once that fear went away from his mind. He questioned himself. He questioned his mind. Because no second person was there. He was there, and that fear was in his mind only. So let us go to the next para. Yes, I had residual doubts. Now, the author is saying that he had some residual doubts, means some small part that is still remaining, residue. Yet I had residual doubts. Some doubts were there that were still remaining. Small doubts were there that were still remaining, tiny doubt. At my first opportunity, I hurried west. So the first opportunity, what did he do? He hurried west. He went quickly to the west, went up to Titon, to Conrad Meadows, up the Conrad Creek Trail to Mid Glacier, and camped in the high meadow by the side of the warm lake. You see, so many places he went swimming. These are the places he covered. I hurried west So you see, first of all, he said that some kind of doubts, or residual doubts, was there in his mind. Now, what did he do? At my first opportunity, when he got the opportunity or when he got the chance, I hurried west. He went to the west, went to the Titan to Conrad Meadows, up the Conrad Creek Trail to Mid Glacier, and camped in the high meadow by the side of the Warm Lake. So all these places he was swimming by the side of the Warm Lake, Mid Glacier, camped in the high meadow. So many things he was doing. He's a professional swimmer. So as he swam, I also swam. I shouted with joy, and Gilbert Peak returned the echo. Now he shouted with joy. The author shouted with joy when he swam to the other part of the to other shore and again came back. And that uh, that shout of his, the shout of joy, and Gilbert Peak returned the echo. So Peak was there, Gilbert Peak, and his shout of joy echoed from the Gilbert Peak. I had conquered my fear of water. So why was he shouting? He was shouting out of joy. What was the joy? He had now conquered the fear of water. The fear of water was at last conquered by him. There was no more fear in his mind of water. That fear of water gradually was coming down, but now it is totally finished from his mind. No more fear was there. That's why he gave a shout of joy, and that shout of joy echoed in the Gilbert Peak. That shout of joy echoed in the Gilbert Peak. Next para, the experience had a deep meaning for me. Now that experience had a deep meaning for him, as only those who have known stark terror and conquered it can appreciate. So that deep meaning can be understood by the people who have known terror, who have come under the influence of terror and conquered it also. It can appreciate those who have undergone the situation of terror and again overcome this situation can appreciate this one or can understand. Only signifies terror. There is terror only in the fear of death. So only in the fear of death there is terror. But death is peaceful. As Roosevelt knew when he said, all we have to fear is fear itself. So we have to fear the fear, nothing else. We can fear the fear. We can fear the fear itself. Roosevelt himself, the president, the famous president of United States of America, just said, all we have to fear is fear itself. Because I had experienced both the sensation of dying and the terror that fear of it can produce. Now the author is saying that I have undergone, or he has a sensation of dying and the terror that fear of it can produce. So he was about to be drowned in the water. You all know that a boy threw him in the water when he was all alone in the pool, YMCA pool. He was thrown into the water and he was about to die. Means he felt the sensation of dying. He was about to die means he felt the sensation of dying at that time, and the terror that fear of it can produce, and the terror also the fear that can produce, the fear of death can produce, the terror he has understood, he has undergone, that sensation was there in him. The will to live somehow grew in intensity. Now the will, after that he has learned to swim under the guidance of an instructor. Now the intensity to live has grown in. At last, I felt released, free to walk the trails and climb the peaks and to brush aside fear. Now he feels himself released, free to walk the trails and climb the peaks to brush aside fear. Now, not only swimming, to walk the trails and climb the peaks. Peaks means mountains. Climbing the mountains also he can climb because there is no fear in his mind of climbing. Previously, the fear of swimming was there in his mind. Now that has been wiped out from his mind. Wiped out. Now there is no kind of fear. He can go to. He can climb the mountains, the peaks. He can overcome now everything because he has no fear in his mind. He is under the grip of no terror now. No terror is there working in his mind. So he is now terror free. His mind is terror free. He can go to the mountains. He can climb the mountains. He can walk the trails, climb peaks, and brush aside fear. So he can brush aside the fear also. Now you see the chapter is finished. The chapter is all about overcoming the fear in the mind. How we can overcome the fear. Because we can see the author was terror stricken after he came out of the pool. For many days, he could not come out of the terror after he was about to drown in his life. After he faced death, he had come face to face with death. But from there, he came back. And for years, that fear was working in his mind, that terror. But he started to learn to swim under the instructor. He was starting. He had started to learn to swim, and gradually that fear went away because he could now swim. At last, we can see that he swam 2 miles, and he shouted after that. After he could swim 2 miles, and that shout also echoed the peaks. So he has now overcome that fear of that terror that was working in his mind after that situation, after that misadventure. That fear has been overcome now. That is Deep Water, the story of Deep Water. This is not a story, this is actually an autobiography of the author William Douglas. This was his own life history, or the story of his own life that he has written and placed for us. So indeed, the lesson that we can learn from this chapter, what is the lesson that we can learn from this chapter? We can tell what kind of lesson can we get after going through
that
this chapter?
uh, that we can overcome our fears if we try hard enough.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Sir, if we give our and full 100% effort, then we can master anything.
Yeah, very good. Well said. Any more? Look, fear is a matter that works in our mind only. It is not an outside element. It is an inside element that is working in our mind. Fear, terror. It is all raised in our minds. We all raise them. These things works in our mind only because uh, the fear or the terror. These are the things. Uh, these are the matters that we ourselves create in our minds. So that things needs to be removed by us only. So for removing this kind of terror, this kind of fear from our mind, we have to work hard. Suppose the author has learned how to swim first. Now, if that fear worked tremendously in his mind and you would not have gone to the instructor, then that fear throughout his life, that fear would have remained in his mind, isn't it? His life, he would not have removed the fear from his mind because if he would not have gone to the instructor. Now he had that willpower to learn to swim and to remove the fear from his mind. So he went to the instructor. He practiced 5 days a week, and each day 1 hour he practiced. the swimming pool, and the instructor was there with him, tying him with the rope and other things, belt and other things. And he went this side of the pool to other. Sometimes when the author released the rope, that fear came back to his mind. But at last, we see that uh, he went into the water, means he brought out his nose, inhaling, exhaling, so many things he has learned. At last, he could swim 2 miles inside the water, and that fear came to an end lastly, and he was now terror free, and he could brush aside the fear from his mind by his willpower. So, if we, or if any man of or any human being makes up his mind that he will do the thing, if he is determined, if his willpower is there that he will do this thing or that thing, there is nothing that can stop him. So we have to get that willpower, that determination, remove the fear from our minds, set our goal. So many things we can learn, that we have to set our goals, and what kind of whatever fear, whatever terror comes in the way, you have to remove them, and to remove them, we have to practice hard. Whatever that terror or that fear is about, we have to get into that and remove that fear by our willpower, by our determination. We can remove that fear from our mind, because that fear is an obstacle. It is a hurdle in our way to success. So for getting the success, we have to remove that fear. If it is examination also, whatever it is, in every aspect of our life, whatever fear is working, we have to remove this and be confident. Because if that fear is working in your minds, then you will not be confident. You'll always be under the grip of that terror. There will be no confidence. So to build that confidence, you have to remove the fear. You have to be determined and be self-confident also to achieve whatever you set your goal or set your target. To achieve that, you have to remove your fear from your minds, and for removing that fear, you have to be determined. You have to have that willpower, that you have to do all these things, whatever target you set. You have to do. You have to attain your target. You have to do all the things to attain your target. So that is the thing. Fear is psychological. Terror is a matter that grips our mind. It's totally a psychological matter. You can remove this. It's not that you cannot remove our fear or terror that grips our mind. We can remove that, is because, as I told, it's a mental thing or a psychological affair. So that can be done. We have to do this yourself. No third person or second person can do this for yourself. That fear has to be removed from your mind by yourself only. And we see the author has removed that fear. How he has removed this fear, we have seen. The same way we can apply. The same things we have to learn and apply in our lives also, so that we are confident, we are determined, and we are on our way to success. Now, I hope you have understood the chapter, students.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Some
Yes, sir.
important questions we have
Yes,
to
sir.
prepare from here, because
Yes, sir.
broad questions, small questions will be coming from this chapter also, other chapters. So to go through the questions also, but I hope if you go through the chapters thoroughly, if you go through the chapter, through this chapter and other chapters also, whatever chapter is there, if you go through the chapters word by word, line by line, then you can answer any question. Whatever question comes, you can answer. At least you'll not give the blank paper. You can write at least 6, 7, 5, or 8, 10 lines on your own if you know the incidents, or if you know the ins and outs of the chapter. Now, suppose a question comes: how did William Douglas overcome his fear of water?
So through regular practice of swimming.
First of all, he appointed an instructor. That is the first point, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Himadri,
please
isn't
repeat.
it? Yes, Deep.
Repeat what I have not heard what you have told.
Deep, one thing, there is no picture, means profile picture is not in the school dress. Why?
Sorry, sir. Recently I've changed. Okay, sir. I will change it.
Huh?
Sorry, sir. I've forgotten to change the picture.
Okay, whatever it is, change your profile picture with school dress.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Udayan also. Put
Okay,
your
sir.
picture, profile picture with the school dress. School uniform should be there. Okay. So, how did Douglas overcome his fear of water? How did William Douglas overcome his fear of water? What did he do? First of all, to overcome his fear of water, he appointed an instructor and started to learn to swim, isn't it? That is the first thing he did.
Yes, sir.
First
Yes,
of all, he
sir.
appointed an instructor and started to learn to swim. So, under his instruction, he learned swimming from October to April. For these months, from October, he learned swimming till April. For 3 months, he learned to swim tying a belt in his waist with a rope held by the trainer. Then the instructor taught him how to inhale and exhale water, how to inhale and how to exhale water. The instructor taught him. Uh, so it started kicking water also. So all these things, all these pieces are joined together to make a integrated whole. It's an integrated and full swimmer. So at last we see that fear had deserted him, or he was out of the fear. His mind was out of the grip of terror, and finally, after he swam in Lake Wentford, that is the name of the lake. Lake Wentford. Remember the lake of the lake? No, sorry, the name of the lake where he went. And after swimming 2 miles there, the fear totally went off from his mind. And he shouted in joy. And that echo also came back from the peak. So, Lake Wentford is the name of the lake where that fear, after swimming 2 miles there, that fear finally went off. The terror finally went off from his mind. Or that fear or that terror that gripped his mind was no more there. After swimming in Lake Wentford, he went from Triggs Island to Tampart Island, 2 miles swam in Lake Wentford. And after there, he shouted in joy. After swimming there, he shouted in joy. It's that fear totally had gone from his mind. So through hard work only, he removed the fear. At last, you have to write that through hard work, when after doing all these things, he removed the fear. The fear went off from his mind. That is very important question. How did you overcome the fear of water? How did Douglas overcome the fear of water? Very important question. You have to learn the questions. These things you have to write. I hope you can write also. On your own also you can write. Now another question. How did the instructor build a swimmer out of Douglas? How did the instructor build a swimmer out of Douglas?
He built instructor made a swimming regimen for him in which
Yeah.
he practiced swimming for 5 days a week and for 1 hour each day.
For 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. The pool. And then the rope was attached, no? Rope was attached
Yes, a
to
belt was
the belt around Douglas, and the rope, the end of the rope was in the trainer's hand or the instructor's hand, and he came back and forth across the pool. He came back and crossed the pool and came back again. Just he did this for many months. He was also taught how to do the inhaling and exhaling, isn't it? How
yes.
Yes,
to do
sir.
the inhaling and exhaling by raising his nose outside the water, how to inhale and then coming back inside the water and exhaling. So in this way, the instructor joined the pieces and created a swimmer in the author. So each piece was perfected, and then only the swimmer was made in the author. So these things you can these questions should prepare, uh, and also the details of the misadventure. What happened on the misadventure? Or what did the author do after he was thrown inside the pool? After he was thrown inside the pool, what did the author do? What are the activities that the author did after he was thrown inside the pool? These things also keep in mind while going through the lesson. And also very not only the big questions, the short questions also, 1 mark questions, objective based questions, multiple choice questions. All these questions should be prepared. It should be prepared to face all these questions, any kind of question, whether it is multiple choice questions or whether it is broad question or short answer type question, any kind of question that can come should be prepared for that. And for that, not only that I have gone through the text line by line, but you yourself have to go through the text line by line. Every line should be read attentively by you. Very carefully, you should go through every line so that whatever question can come from this from these lines, so that you can answer. Okay, can you answer me the very short questions from the multiple choice questions if I ask from this chapter? Can you answer me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. We will try.
Okay, let's see. When did the author decide to learn to swim? What was the
Sir,
age of the author?
when he was in 10 or 11 years.
Well said. 10 or 11 years old. Yet he decided to learn to swim. What was the name of the river?
Yakima River.
Did he learn to swim in the Yakima River? Did the author learn to swim in the Yakima River?
He
No.
started learning to swim at YMCA pool.
So this was the first place where he learned started learning to swim in the YMCA pool. What did the author's mother continually uh, warned against? What did the author's mother means? What did the William Douglas's mother? What did the William Douglas's mother continually warn him about?
Sir, About the dangers of deep waters.
The details of the drowning in the river, people drowning in the river. Continually, his mother warned him of the incidents of people getting drowned in the river, Yakima River, because that was a very treacherous river, and in it many life came to end. What was the depth of the YMCA pool? Depth of the YMCA pool.
In the shallow end, its feet is 2 and 3 feet, and on the other side, it is 9 feet deep.
So in the shallow end, it was 2 or 3 feet shallow end, and
Yes,
in the far end, it was 9 feet deep. Shallow end and far end, two ends were there. When you get inside a pool, the the part or the side when you are getting inside the pool, that is the nearer end or the shallow end, and the other part of the pool is the far end, the deep end. When did the author's aversion to the water? At what age did the author's aversion to water begin?
10
At
or
what
11
age?
years.
10 or 11 is the age when the author decided to learn to swim. I'm saying that uh, at what age did the aversion to water begin in the author's mind?
When the author was 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah, when the author was 3 or 4 years old, aversion to water began or started working in his mind, because at that time his father had taken him to California beach and he was surfing there with his father. That was the incident. What incident occurred there? The waves knocked him down while he was surfing with his father and swept him, and he got buried in the water. So he was afraid, he was frightened after that incident. So that feeling of aversion to water started working in his mind right from that age, 3 or 4 years age. He understood aversion to
Yes.
water, 3 or 4 years. He decided to learn to swim at 10 or 11 years. Uh, who threw Douglas into the water?
Sir, a boy, probably 18 years of age.
A boy of 18 years of age threw Douglas the water. Okay. Why did he do that?
Out of fun.
Yeah, he was just fooling, or he was just kidding, or he was just creating a fun. So out of fun, very good say, well said. Out of fun, he did this, which he admitted himself. Now, when did Douglas feel that his legs were paralyzed? When did the author, or when did William Douglas feel that he was paralyzed?
Sir, in the home, when he came back to home and the terror of that incident strike him again in his mind.
No, the thing is that the author got paralyzed under the water, not when he came outside the water or at home. He got paralyzed, or his limbs were not working when he was underwater, because he was under the grip of terror at the time when he was underwater, and he could not understand what to do at that time. His mind, his mind was totally under the grip of terror. His mind was full of terror, and then his legs became. At that time, he was paralyzed underwater. I was paralyzed underwater, stiff, rigid with fear. So he was paralyzed, stiff, and rigid with total fear. So at that time, he was paralyzed underwater. So go through the chapter thoroughly. Go through the questions also related to this chapter. You can prepare another question. What was the immediate effect of the misadventure on the writer's mind? What was the immediate effect of the misadventure in the author's mind or in the writer's mind? How was the misadventure a handicap for him? He has said that it was a handicap. So how was that misadventure a handicap for him? Fear was a handicap for him because uh, he loved canoeing, he loved swimming, he loved boating, but that fear deprived him of that enjoyment of swimming, canoeing, and boating. All these things, all the enjoyment of these things were deprived. He was deprived of all this enjoyment because of the fear. So that was like a handicap to him, that fear. So you have to write the answer like this. That question, as I said earlier, also might be you can prepare, very important one also. About the misadventures. What was the misadventure that happened when the author was all alone in the pool one day? Now you have to learn the question about the misadventure. What happened when he went under the water? What are the circumstances? What was the situation? What was the situation under the water that he faced? Prepare this question. Okay,
Okay, sir.
very important one. This one, and another very important question that I told earlier a few minutes back. Also, that one. How did you overcome the fear? These two are very important questions. The misadventure and the fear, overcoming the fear. And that question also told immediate effect after immediate effect of the misadventure on the writer's mind. Immediate effect of the misadventure on the writer's mind. And also very important. And another question you can prepare. This one. What was the incident that nearby killed the author and developed in him an aversion to water? What was the incident that nearby killed the author and developed in him an aversion to water? This incident referred to the incident that happened when he was 3 or 4 years old, when he went to surfing with his father. He went for surfing with his father when he was 3 or 4 years old at California beach. There, he was about to be drowned, means he was thrown, the waves threw him into the water, he was frightened, and that incident drew in him an aversion to water. This question you have to prepare. So 4 questions. If you prepare, then other questions also you can answer. Related questions can also come related questions. But first of all, read the chapter thoroughly. Then prepare these questions, short answer type questions, and then long answer also, and then multiple choice questions. So prepare these questions. We have finished this chapter. Next chapter we shall start in the next class, the rat trap. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then
Okay,
continue
sir.
with your studies and be careful. Be healthy, stay fit. Don't get outside of your homes if it is utterly not necessary. Don't get out of your homes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Understood.
So a very good night to all of you.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Good
Night.
night,
Take care.
Good
sir.
night,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Good night.
Okay. Bye.
Good night, sir.
Okay.